Warm greetings. My name is Megan Parker Brooks, and I am here today to accept the Southern Interscholastic Press Association 2026 Leslie Dennis Heart of Diversity Award on behalf of the Fannie Lou Hamer's America and Find Your Voice curriculum team. I wish I could be there with you all in person, and I hope you're having a wonderful conference. I am teaching this semester at the University of Galway in Ireland, so wasn't able to join you, but I wanted to share a bit about who Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer it was, why I spent the better part of my career researching her and her activism, and then a bit about our projects by way of expressing our gratitude and hoping that Hamer's legacy continues to live on with you all. So to start, if you don't already know who Fannie Lou Hamer is, she was a human rights activist from the Mississippi Delta. She was born in 1917, died in 1977. She is perhaps best known for a speech that she gave at the Democratic National Convention in 1964, but she also spoke at the 1968 and 1972 Democratic National Conventions. She was among the first 3 Black women in history to be seated on the floor of the House of Representatives. This was part of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party's congressional challenge. It was remarkable and very noteworthy in terms of her overall career. In 1971, she was among a group of women who founded the National Women's Political Caucus, and she also gave a really searing speech at that event. And then over the course of her career, I always refer to her as a human rights activist because she was definitely concerned with civil rights, but she was also concerned with basic human rights like access to food, shelter, medical care. And she helped hundreds of Mississippi residents acquire decent housing in her community. She encouraged thousands of Black people to register and vote across the South. She secured millions of dollars worth of food and clothing and farm equipment and monetary donations from Northern supporters for poverty programs in the South. She also is well known for speaking alongside the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., Stokely Carmichael, Ella Baker, Gloria Steinem, John Lewis, and Malcolm X. And Malcolm X referred to Fannie Lou Hamer as, quote, the country's #1 freedom-fighting woman. Eleanor Holmes Norton also had wonderful things to say about Mrs. Hamer. She said that she was one of the most inspiring souls to emerge from the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Eleanor Holmes Norton said that no one who heard her can doubt that as a speaker with an awesome combination of focused intelligence and vision, she alone was in a class with Martin Luther King Jr. So if you didn't know Fannie Lou Hamer before today, I strongly encourage you to learn more about her, and I'll share with you some resources that can facilitate that and facilitate learning about her and sharing about her with others. So I was certainly inspired to do this after learning about her. In fact, I was in a PhD program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison before I learned about Fannie Lou Hamer. I had been studying civil rights discourse and rhetoric, and I was in a class on gender and the civil rights movement. And I read a biography written by Chanakai Lee about Hamer, and I was amazed, astounded by her career, but I was also quite disheartened that I was learning about her for the first time in a PhD program when I had been studying, American public address for years by that point. So I really set out to learn more and to share what I was learning with anyone who would listen. So I worked alongside a scholar at Florida State named Davis Houck, and we found over 24 of her speeches that folks had recorded and stored away in attics and basements across the United States. So we found her speeches and worked with her family to put together the first edited collection of her works. And I then wrote what I call a rhetorical biography of her life, and then a more popular biography written for a general audience about her life and activism as well. And throughout this work, I continue to be amazed by what I learned about her, really drawn to her. I really found strong connections between my own rural background and strong, real compelling women leaders in my community. But clearly, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. There were differences in terms of obviously our race, our region, our time period. And so it was very important for me to engage with Fannie Lou Hamer's community in the Mississippi Delta, and especially with her family and her friends and her fellow activists. So in doing that, I took part in a statue project. Her community members were bringing a statue to her hometown of Ruleville, Mississippi. And so I had the great honor of working alongside her daughters, her former campaign manager. And ultimately through this, I met Miss Monica Land, who is Fannie Lou Hamer's great grandniece. And she shared with me this beautiful idea that she had about creating a documentary about Hamer's life. And so through this dedication, I was connected with Monica on the documentary project, but I also connected with public school teachers in the Mississippi Delta. I invited them to the statue dedication, and I encouraged them to bring their students, right? So we could honor this local hero together, local and really national and international hero. And what I heard back from the public school teachers is they would love to come, they would love to bring the students, but they didn't have many teaching materials about Mrs. Hamer to share with their students to really prepare them for the significance of this dedication. And this was back in 2012. So I burned CDs of her speaking, of her speeches. I shared transcripts of those materials, newspaper clippings, song recordings, anything I could think of to make the day more engaging and meaningful for the students, really to help those teachers prepare them. But I realized then that I was asking a whole lot of the teachers, right, to create lesson plans around this material and to fill in the historical context and the biographical timeline. And so out of that experience of connecting with the local teachers and learning about the real paucity of resources about Mrs. Hamer, the idea of creating a curriculum was born. And so the team that we had for the documentary and the wonderful sponsors, I want to thank them here too as well. We were a larger documentary team, but the Find Your Voice curriculum became a really important subset of that. So we were creating this Fannie Lou Hamer's America documentary, which I encourage you to watch if you're interested in learning more about her. But then we also worked alongside many of those teachers that I had originally reached out to, and of course, the incredible Dr. R.J. Morgan, who I think is there today, worked alongside these teachers over the course of about 18 months to develop 18 lesson plans that spanned K through 12 curriculum. And we created a cartoon animation here, a brain pop animation. We worked with them to make that for younger audiences. I worked with a public school teacher in my home community of Oregon to write a children's book, and she illustrated it for me. We created a driving tour. Monica and Davis and Pablo of our Fannie Lou Hamer's American team, they were really instrumental in putting together filmmakers workshops for the Sunflower Film Academy, and Joy Davenport, our director for the film, was really instrumental in that as well. To date, we've led 5 filmmakers workshops for students in the Mississippi Delta. Yes, and so all these materials are available free on our website, free to access, free to use in classrooms and share. And I really appreciate you all recognizing the significance of the scholastic media and the importance of keeping Fannie Lou Hamer's life and legacy alive and ongoing for future generations. So I'll just conclude by sharing some lessons that I've learned throughout my decades now of Fannie Lou Hamer research and teaching and scholarship. Certainly, I feel like the lessons I learned align so well with the values of your organization and really the values that this award is honoring. So It means so much to us, especially because it feels like we're so interrelated in our mission and our vision. So I really learned the importance of facilitating diversity and inclusivity and multicultural awareness through scholastic media. That became just ever more apparent as we were working with teachers and school children and teens in the Mississippi Delta. Certainly the importance of promoting First Amendment rights through educational curricula. Many of our lessons are designed around just that goal, that learning objective. And really the importance of creating content to educate future generations, creating content that is exciting and is interdisciplinary and has a range of media and forms of engagement, which you'll see in the brilliant lesson plans that the teachers designed. And then, personally, as a scholar and a researcher, these last two lessons might be relevant for you all as storytellers, as students, as teachers of journalism and media. I certainly learned and saw the importance of developing long-term collaborative engagement with both the team members that I was working with, the documentary team members, and certainly the teachers. The importance of bringing people into the team who held different talents, backgrounds, and perspectives so we could create a robust and multidimensional project, not only the film, but also the curriculum. And really the importance of empowering people who live and work in the communities that we write about to tell their own stories. I'll never forget the first teachers workshop that I co-led with Davis Houck. We were going around doing introductions, and one of the teachers started with, saying her name and where she taught, and sharing that she was perfectly capable and their community was perfectly capable of telling their own stories, right? So they didn't need someone from the Pacific Northwest to come in and tell them how to tell their stories. And I really appreciated that. Like, it helped check me, helped keep me accountable, and know that really my role there was to facilitate and empower and not to speak for or speak on behalf of. So with that, I would just like to thank you again for this award, this recognition of our project, and thank you all for the work that you're doing in the realm of scholastic media, in reporting and journalism. This is such important work, maybe now more than ever, and I hope that learning a little bit more about Fannie Lou Hamer helps fortify you, I guess, or helps you feel encouraged in that ongoing work that you're doing. So thank you, and I appreciate this award. We all do.